Was that wrong? Did I scare you? I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it, but it's Friday the 13th, man. And I figured I'd do something special for you guys. And I'm like, man, I haven't done a Friday the 13th video ever. So I said, man, let's do something fun. So today I want to talk about what are some of your scariest moments in your lifetime. I mean, we could talk about anything. I mean, from the scariest movie to something you did where you were like, you know, almost in your pants, you know what I'm saying? There was, me personally, I like the whole Halloween thing. I love the scare factor kind of thing. It's something I love to do. Kathy hates it. And I used to always, like, when we'd be out in the woods, right? You know, or anywhere dark for that matter, and I'd be like, I'm gonna be like, stop it! Stop it!
That's pretty much the pitch I'd hit too.
Yeah, and so I don't know, I just like to torture people, you know, and Halloween around here is a fun time for me because, you know, I get all dressed up in like some ghouly outfits and I'm outside, you know, waiting for the kids, you know, to come around and, you know, some of them,
the older kids.
The older kids act like, oh, yeah, I'm bad, you know, and they see something, I'm acting like a statue, and next thing you know, ah, you know, and they're like, oh, they start running off.
You scared the crap out of people.
It's so fun, man. I just love to do that kind of stuff, man. But hey, that's not to say it didn't happen to me, man. Somebody, we went on this haunted trail, Kathy and me, a long time ago. And, you know, it's cool because, you know, when you're going on a haunted trail, you know, it's Halloween, you want to be scared, you got that whole scare factor going on. And there was this haunted trail we were checking out. And, man, it was a long line. And they had this whole thing. It was going through the woods. And she was like, I'm not going. I was like, no, you gotta go in. You gotta go in. It's like, no, I'm not going in. And I'm like, come on, man, stop being a punk, man. It's like, no, I'm not going in. You can't make me, but you can't. So I was like, all right, fine. So me and my buddies, we went in, and all you hear, and I know why she didn't want to go in, because there are people screaming
yeah.
while you're waiting in line.
And
all you hear is chainsaws. And, and then you see on the backside.
Stupid, I ain't going in there. What are you doing that for?
Man, it was funny, man. It was like, but the whole trail was cool. They had it all decked out. You walk through the woods, and it had all these different stations. One guy was like operating on somebody, and you see this big hand come out of the dude's chest. And another time, it was like a coffin set up, and the guy opens up the coffin when you think it's just you're looking at dead bones or something like that. And next thing you know, the coffin's open up, and he's coming out, and then you're walking through a really like dark tube through you know, through some blinds or whatever, curtains, and it's just complete darkness. And then the next thing you know, you walk in through, like, you see skeletons like on the wall, glow in the dark skeletons, and then you're just walking like, oh look, that's kind of cool, you know. You see skeletons that glow in the dark, and next thing you know, they're all coming out and wiggling around, and they're like, what in the hell is going on, man? It was hilarious. But I gotta say, the best part of that whole trail was at the very end. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that, you know, going on in there, but the last part was the end, when you're like, okay, this is the end of the trail, and then all of a sudden you see these big dudes with Jason mask on, another one that had like a Chainsaw Massacre mask, and these guys just come out walking toward you with a chainsaw and talking about and I'm like, oh snap. And I don't know about you, but I ain't sticking around asking questions, man. I was like, booyah! And I was like, gone. But what was funny is that my buddy was standing next to me, and I didn't look where I was going, and there was a big tree, and I was like, I went boom, and I was like, spang, you know. You ever see those commercials like with Tom and Jerry when he gets flattened out like a pancake? That was me, because I slammed into the tree and he slammed into me, and I was like, splat! And my cell phone busted on my hip. I think it was a cell phone.
No, it was a pager.
It was a pager. Yeah, back in the day when there was beepers. Yeah, I got the beep. Somebody beeping me. Let me see who's beeping me. My man.
That's right. The
But yeah, that was back in the day when beepers was the in thing. You know, if you ain't had no beeper, you wasn't
he was
doing.
like a doctor.
I know, right? Or selling pharmaceuticals. But we ain't gonna get into all that. So yeah, I busted my pager. I got a big old bruise, and I went limping around. I was like, let's go, because he's coming. Man, it was hilarious, man. It was like one of the best times, and that was the best haunted trail I've ever been to. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So I want you guys to tell me, what is your scariest thing? What is your scariest movie? I know I have my favorite. Let's see. Can anybody guess? I ain't gonna go through that. But listen, man, my favorite scariest movie, and it's funny because scary movies ain't like it used to be. You know, back in those days, I mean, you had like Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, all that kind of stuff.
Now it's all blood.
Now it's all blood and gory, and all you see these people all kirked out. You know, that's all you see now is like the visuals and stuff. There's no like suspense like it used to be. You know, it used to be a whole lot of suspense, and you're like, but you know, now it's just all like gory, and it's just too much gory now. And I'm like, ever since, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, when his whole family chopping people up, and man, that
wasn't even scary. That was just like,
that was just, yeah, I was like, oh man, come on, man. That was just like, but I have to say, my all-time favorite scary movie is The Exorcist. Yes, man. The Exorcist is the bomb, man. That was all time.
Which one?
Oh, the first one. There's no doubt. It's got to be the first one, number one, because one, it was based on a true story. I'm from DC, so I grew up. Well, that was in Georgetown when they actually filmed it, but the actual person, the actual kid, which is actually a boy, that he actually lived in Mount Rainier, which is out in a little bit of the outskirts of DC, not too far out from DC, but it was in Mount Rainier, and we remember driving through there, but no one knew the whole real true story about The Exorcist, man. But when you go to Georgetown, you see the stairs, the long stairs. But man, if you go back and look at the old videos, I think that you could probably find them on YouTube, on people coming out of the theaters, seeing after The Exorcist, and they were coming out screaming and crying, and I was like, I bet you a whole lot of people went to church the next day, because they was like, I ain't playing around with the devil, man. He's like scary. And for me, that was like the best movie, man, because when you see that girl turn her head around, you know, did you see what your daughter did? I was like, and the voices, man, it was like, oh my, man, it was so cool though, man. And that's before even getting to what she did with the cross. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's just like, I was wrong. I was like, oh no, she didn't do that with the cross. And man, it was like, that was the all-time favorite, best, scariest movie, man, because, you know, one, you had the real factor of the whole true story played into that, and then, you know, how she was moving everything. Well, she wasn't really her, you know, it was the devil's, but you know, they had the whole the eeriness, you know, and then, you know, she was spitting up green stuff on the dude's face, and you know, and then she was like telling the priest, messing with his mind, you know, because he had his mother. Yeah, they left. And, yeah, so she, you know, played mind tricks on him. He's like, Demi, why you do this to me, Demi? You're not my mother. You're not my mother. He's like, man, you need to get out. You ain't handling yourself right. You need to get out. I need to handle this woman for you. May the body of Christ compel you. May the body. I shouldn't be saying that, but it's funny, man. It was fun. You know, you go back and by the time, man, I was like, oh no, I can't handle myself. That's just crazy, you know, because people saw that when that movie came out. that was like the worst thing, you know, and people were just freaking out like there was no tomorrow. But
So how are you gonna ask people to respond to you? They gonna have to write, or they have to do a video?
You can do a video if you want to. If you want to get, you know, extra, that's fine with me. I got no problem with that. Put a note, you know, write down in the bottom. Tell me what was your favorite movie. What was your scariest moment? I remember also my dad took me as a young child to go see, and now it's again, it's one of those non-scary movies now, but you go back, it was The American Werewolf in London. And it was a story about these two dudes who went for a walk in London. Backpacking.
Across Europe or wherever.
Yeah. And long story short, they walking through the woods, and it was a full moon. And they were like, I guess they were at a bar, and people were like, oh, you shouldn't be, you know, walking around out there. But that they gave them no choice because they couldn't stick around. And I can't remember how old I was. I think I was maybe about 10 years old. I can't remember. But my dad went to go, he took me to go see this movie.
Why did your dad take you?
He liked to torture me. Just to get, I don't know what his deal was, but you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I had a dad that just loved to mess with me, and that was one of his ways of messing with me. So I remember when they were walking through the woods, and you hear the wolf howl, and you go, ooh, you know, I'm like, and my knees were shaking like crazy, and I was like, you know, I was like, Daddy, I gotta go pee, and I was like, my knees are like shaking, and he was sitting there. I think he was just laughing at me. But I think, you know, I was so scared that I think I might have like let some escape my pants, and I might have wet my pants. I can't remember. But I remember that was like definitely another scary moment for me, man. I was like, I was wrong. I couldn't believe he took me to go see that movie. Anyway, I'm going on about me too much. So anyway, it's Friday the 13th. Let's have some fun with this, you guys. Tell me what your scariest moment was or planned to be. I don't know if any of y'all plan on doing some scary stuff. If you did something scary and you got it on videotape, let me know. Put it on. I want to see it. It's going to be some cool stuff. I've seen some really messed up pranks, man, in the past. So I know some people are really, they go a little extra when it comes to scaring people. But anyway, so that's it. Put your comment down. Let me know what your scariest thing was, whatever movie was. And let's have some fun with this. And what else? Anything else?
That's it.
That is it. Okay, guys. Have a good weekend. Happy Friday the 13th. And I'll see you guys next week on the Raw Food Muscle.